Good morning, Grace Tribe. Again with the abrupt music. I must be hitting a button wrong. It's not fading out like I wanted to. Boy, things don't always transition the way that we want them to. That's a segue right into our talk. You guys let me know that we are pack of fives, Rob says. 5x5, loud and clear. I'm excited to hang out with you today. Listen, we've been talking about just some powerful ideas. I've had some technical glitches this morning, but I don't know why, just some network errors, not really on my end, but it slowed me down just a minute getting to you this morning. So thanks for hanging in there. It may not always be right on the, eighth bong of the clock, the ding dong of the clock. It might be it might be plus or minus a couple of minutes. You guys hang in there. Unless I tell you otherwise, we will be here Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. That's 8 a.m. Central Time. We're going to start aiming for about a 30-minute talk, in part because of what we're going to talk about today. I hope you have something really wonderful to drink. Someone asked me my coffee the other day, and I commented on it, and I gave the wrong name. I said Twisted Sister. It's Three Sisters, Twisted Sisters band. And I thought they were alluding to that, but no. So anyway, it is Three Sisters medium dark roast, and it's really good. I actually make it with a cup of coffee from that, and then I press one or two espresso shots of the same coffee into it. It's very good, but it's stronger than most of my guests like. So anyway, listen, here's what's going on. Are you ready for this? I think this is going to roll your socks back, people. It is me. It is me. A little fire has been lit in my belly. And here's what's up. 2 days ago, we talked about Moses telling God that he didn't want to move forward. He didn't want to be sent. Don't lead us. Don't send us. Take us. We talked about panim, his presence, that Hebrew word panim, that I don't want to go ahead of you. I don't want to go to do what you want me to do. I want to go with you, presence with you. If I'm going, then it's got to be an us thing, not a me thing. And I love that. And so we talked about presence. We talked about the presence of God and the power of that concept from ancient Hebrew and what we're often missing of that. And boy, is that true for us, that we're not being sent, we're being taken. And so we talked about the power of that. And then yesterday, you might not have realized it, but I continued a theme that was going on in the back of my mind. We talked about the freedom to be available for what he's going to do instead of needing something from our immediate circumstance. Now, some of you are in a very needy circumstance. I am too. I have had escalated pain and some physical problems. Some of the things that I do in order to manage my pain, I have other injuries keeping me from doing. And it's been a tough couple of weeks. I've not made as big a deal about it, maybe as, I don't know, you might expect, or it might warrant, or as I sometimes do, because I think God is up to something. And I don't begrudge what God is doing in things I wish he weren't doing, because I don't know what he knows. And I'm trying to walk that line of going, I hate this, I love you, you're sovereign, so I'm trusting you. That's what that has to turn into. I hate this, but I love you, and you're sovereign, so I'm going to trust you. And listen, God is giving you things to trust him with, and we don't want those things. We don't want the pain issues. We don't want the health issues. We don't want the career setbacks. We don't want the relational friction. We want smooth sailing, and you're not wrong to want that. But if you love God and trust he loves you and he's working out your good, then what you don't like is for your good. And it's not because everything that's evil he's endorsing or much less causing, but he's using it. He's using it. And so what he's going to do through the very things he didn't want for me is going to bring about what he really wants for me in a way that nothing else could. That's 1,000-level chess. And I know some of you are waiting for job offers, and some of you are dealing with physical crises, and some of you are just diligently and devotedly being persistent in the call that he has put on your heart that's hard and tiresome. And I get it. I get it. I want more for you. God wants more for you. But here's the difference. God is bringing about what more looks like. He is preparing what's next for you, and he's preparing you for what's next. Can you say that out loud? He is preparing what is next for you, and he is preparing you for what is next. And so as we talked this week about wanting his presence more than his activity, and more than to go and do what he's calling me to, just point and I'll go. Just give me the map and I'll go there. He doesn't want that. He wants the witness of presence. And the power of the presence is greater than anything he's ever going to ask you to do. Where he's calling you, he's got to take you, and what he's going to do, he's got to accomplish. And so there's this presence that is greater than activity. And so we leaned into that on Monday, that panim. And then yesterday again, and I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I'm wanting to set up what I'm about to say. And then from that presence that is of greatest value, we moved into, are you at a place yet where what he's going to do that you do not know is going to serve his purposes through you or your purposes for you? Are you at that place yet where whatever he's going to do next is going to serve his purposes through you instead of your purposes for you? I know that's hard. Sometimes I feel like God is kneading out my heart to get out the lumps of the flesh patterns and idolatry of what I need to accomplish and what I need to do and what needs to speak of me and how I want to meet my needs. I think he's often working out the lying beliefs that are driving a lot of my selfish ambition. And can you hear me now? I think you can hear me. Everybody good? Y'all give me a 5x5. I lost audio there for a second. Yeah, that's it, Rich. He is preparing you for what's next. He's preparing what's next for you, and he's preparing you for what's next. I'm back. Okay, good. Adam, thank you. So is it time to move? Is it time to go? Is it time to shift? Is it going to cost you something? Are you okay with what it's going to cost you? What if what he's preparing for you next, you're tired of waiting for, but you wouldn't have stepped into it a year ago if he had opened it up to you? What if what he wants for you next required your shifting your attitude of what life is about? What if you had to grow in order to ride the ride he has for you ahead? It's harder than you think, but it's better than you think. And you weren't ready for it when you wanted it because you didn't know what it was and what it was going to require. But now your heart is prepared. He has kneaded out like dough a ready vessel in me. He has worked out the flaw and built around the flaw of my hurtfulness and history and quickly triggered whatever personality issues. That's all part of the good he's going to do, but he's not going to let me mess up. He's not going to let me mess up what only he can do in and through me. So he's getting what's next ready for me, and he's getting me ready for what's next. That's what he's doing. It's what he's always doing because he's a good dad like that. He's not throwing me in the pool before I'm ready to I was going to say to fly. Doesn't work. See, I'm not ready, clearly, before I'm ready to swim. He's throwing me into the deep end when he knows I can do what I don't yet know I can do. And I promise you, you weren't ready before he says go. But when he says go, which is where we're leaning into today, when he says go, oh, my friends, you're ready. There's a whole lot more wait than there is go. Wait, go. Are you hearing me? There's a whole lot more wait than go. The Israelites felt that. Maybe you've said things like, I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to move in a new direction. I'm ready for what's next. And honestly, you can't know that. Are you? Not just ready for a change. I realize the exhaustion, the arduousness of the daily grind. I realize that. Excuse me. This temporal life is hard. It ain't nothing, but it's not for nothing. This temporal life is hard. It ain't nothing, but it's not for nothing. Are you ready? How do you know you're ready? What if God's right about what you're ready for and not ready for? Maybe it's not a change. Maybe it's just the direction that God will choose. Maybe you just have to be ready to go where he points and where he leads and where he takes you and where he's wanting to be with you. Maybe he doesn't want to move forward until you're ready to be with him in the fiery furnace of what's next. Maybe he doesn't want to move forward until you're ready to be with him where he's headed. Because listen, there's a difference between wanting something new, and I totally get that. I need a change. I get that. I had a ministry job for a bunch of years where they didn't mind me teaching New Covenant, and it was exploding and beautiful and fun, but it created a counterculture in a very large church, and I would raise those issues, and they're like, it's fine, it's growing, it's healthy, keep going. But we were creating a faction of New Covenant truth, and it was downright divisive. And I eventually said, I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for God to release me, and waiting and waiting and waiting and choosing to be faithful where I was until he opened up what's next, and leaning into where I was because I didn't feel like I was released. And the reality was I was barely ready when he finally pointed the way. It was terrifying. And yet I saw how I grew, because years later, I felt that same eagerness for something to change. And when God opened the door, I didn't need kicked out. I was ready. I had learned to run with him when the door opened, and we did. And that was even more fantastic. So in the one case, he released me by shutting the door behind me. And in the second case, he invited me into what's next and gave me the option to follow or not. And I followed. I learned, I grew, I moved, but we're talking about years between these experiences. He is getting ready for you what's next and getting you ready for what is next. What's next ready for you, and you ready for what's next. That's what he's doing. So I want to lean into this straight from from Deuteronomy 2. I want to lean into this. Stace and I were talking about a couple of the verses that I've camped on this week on Sunday, and it really elevated an awareness of a process that God is sowing in my own heart as I sow to the spirit and not sow to the flesh. And that's a hard thing. All the stuff that you want from what God's going to do is not wrong for you to want, but it may not be right for you. Golly, I got to say that again. I was checking on a couple of comments, concerned for a couple of things I was seeing in comments, but we're good. It's not wrong for you to want what you do from what God's up to. But that's not why he's doing what he's doing. He could meet your needs any way he wants. The reason he's calling you to what is next that you do not fully know is for what he's going to do in your heart there. And so if you have been in a place where you've heard, wait, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, pause, breath, go. I want to talk about the release. I want to talk about the gunshot, the starter pistol that says, bang, now you're off. Because if you want his presence more than what's next, and you really are wanting what he wants at least as much as what you want from him, what you do not know of his plan as much as what you want from his plan, then you're entering into that friction point of availability where he just might move you over the threshold of what is next as you're willing to go wherever that might be. It might be that moment, and we're going to see it. I was going to say, Stacey and I were talking about a couple of these verses, and it really gave me a context for my experience in this season of my life and ministry and relationships and work. And you're not wrong to want what you want, but it may not be right for you. Are you okay with that solical conflict? You're not wrong to want what you want. I want the things that he's calling me to have a certain benefit to me. What if they don't? What if in the temporal perspective, it's all cost and no gain? Is he enough to go there anyway? Because I want what he wants that I don't know more than what I want from him, for me. That's the trick. And when you're ready, when you're really ready, God moves and he moves with you. When you're really ready, God moves and he moves with you. And I know some of you have been so faithful with a hurt loved one, with a season of just trudging through the daily demands, waiting for the door to open on a specific need, waiting for relief from a specific problem, waiting for an opportunity for a specific conversation. I know that many of you are strugglingly faithful in the waiting. And I'm here to tell you, it's not all waiting. It's just mostly waiting. It's mostly waiting. But God is on the move. C.S. Lewis talked about Aslan in the Lion, the Witch, in the Wardrobe, and Aslan was working out things behind the scenes, and then things started to change. And in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it was said of him, Aslan is now on the move. Selfish ambition is not the same as divine motivation. Selfish ambition is not the same as divine motivation. Wow. Maybe we just have to sit there 1 second. I'm going to roll the intro, but I want this to sink into your soul a little bit, folks. I think God is preparing your hearts for what I want to share. At least he's showing me how that could be the case. Selfish ambition is not the same as divine motivation. He can fire you up, and it may not be for what you have to gain. Are you okay with that? Oh, my friends, I'm excited for where we're headed right now. Let's do this. Awakening souls to our life in Christ. My name is Mike Q. Daniel, and we are celebrating all that we have in Christ Jesus by grace. Be sure to share your questions or prayer requests at MikeQDaniel.com. And I want to welcome you to Mike Q. Daniel Live with the Grace Tribe. Okay, so here's the deal. There's a big difference between wanting something new, wanting a change, and being ready for what is true of what's next. Just because you're feeling ready to be done with what you have and where you are does not mean you're ready for what he's releasing you into next. Sherry, I so hear that. I so hear the very thing that I know enough of I just feel you. I feel that. I totally relate to that. And there's this difference between wanting something new and being ready for what's true of what's next, what's really true. Sometimes we call readiness, kind of what we call readiness is just restlessness in, our church clothes. I'm ready for what God's going to do. Well, you're just restless with where you are. And that's okay. Again, there's no condemnation in that, but you might not be right about what you're ready for because you don't know what you need to be ready for. Maybe God is right about what you're ready for. Sometimes we don't want God's direction nearly as much as we just want a new view. We want out of where we are. We want a problem to be resolved. Does that mean that we're ready to eat the manna that he has for the next moment? Sometimes we're not longing for that hand-in-hand obedience over the hike of the hillside that he has for us. We're just simply tired of the wallpaper in the room we've been sitting in. That doesn't mean we're right about what's next. God is not wrong about where you are and where you need to be for where he's going to take you. He's not wrong about where you are and where you need to be for where he's going to take you. I know that sometimes we feel the pressure building up to be shot out of the gun into what's next. I know that you're feeling that pressure, but maybe that pressure to launch needs to be greater than you yet know. In Deuteronomy 2, verses 2 and 3, Moses and the Israelites had not wanted to follow God out of Egypt. They didn't want to follow him. They liked the Cush slavery of where they had been. Not where they should be, but they liked the comfort of it, so they begrudgingly followed God into freedom that was hard, out of captivity that had some creature comforts. We ate better in the prison. That was the attitude. Freedom is its own prize. The liberty that they walked in was greater than the luxuries they gave up. And they whined about it because they couldn't get prepared for freedom in slavery. So God put them in freedom and they whined about it, and he had to train them up into the boldness of the difficulty of the liberty that they were released to. And it took a beat. It took a minute. It took a breath. He showed them the promised land, and they went, "Oh, that looks nice, but hard." And he's like, "Okay, never mind. For a year, for every day you contemplated doing what I told you to do. Maybe we can do what God asked. Maybe we can trust him with this. Maybe we can't. Let's talk tomorrow." For every day they evaluated whether or not they were going to do what God wanted. He gave them another year in the wilderness. You're not ready. That hesitation for the day is going to require a year of preparation and building up the pressure for the launch of what's required. And I want you to listen. God was not surprised by their unpreparedness. But while they're wandering back in the desert, they needed to remember that they weren't ready for what God had next. It was for them. And so he sends them into this area in the wilderness called Mount Seir. And as they're wandering around the mountain of Mount Seir, they are for a year for every day of their hesitation, of their investigating the promised land, of their being daunted by the people there instead of empowered by the God who led them there. They needed to not only be ready, but to know that they weren't yet ready. And so here they are, literally circling Mount Seir. If you feel like, "God, why do you have me circling? Why can't I land the plane?" That's why. You're not ready for what you're going to encounter when you get off this ride. If you feel like your flight pattern is stuck in a circle, thank God. Your boredom and resistance and waiting and exhaustion and dutifulness in the waiting is still easier. It still hasn't tipped the scales of release into launching what's next. And when he opens the gate, you're going to launch. You're going to launch into what's next. You're not going to be able to help yourself but launch into what's next. So in Deuteronomy 2, after 40 years of circling in Seir, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, to quote verse 2, he says, "Then the Lord spoke to me." Can you imagine Moses telling them? They've been circling this area and region and mountain in Seir for 40 years. This generation has grown up in the waiting. And then Moses stands in front of him and says, "Then the Lord spoke to me, saying, you have circled this mountain long enough." Can you imagine the divine anticipation of release into what's next? You have circled this mountain long enough. Now, turn north. Now turn. Set your path straight instead of this circling pattern. It's time to set your point on the map, a straight line from here. Turn north. Now is the time to turn and go straight to what I've been calling you to for 40 years, more than that. 2 sentences. You have circled this mountain long enough. Now turn north. Let's see how quick they turn. He took them to the promised land. It took them 40 days to decide, and they still didn't decide. God finally sent them back into the wilderness. 40 days. They weren't ready. They had a lot of preparation, a lot of growing up, a lot of, okay, I would rather go where he's taking me that's hard than circle where I am forever that's easy but fruitless, in my experience. I'm ready now. Well, let's see. You've circled this mountain long enough. Now turn. I bet they all went north. That's north. Okay, Moses, are you done talking? Let's go. Now turn north. 2 sentences, but listen, these 2 sentences come at the end of years. They wanted to be released from the promised land. Now they're wanting to be released, pretty desperately wanting to be released to the promised land. We're ready to go back, God. We're ready to go back. We're ready for what it takes. We're ready for what only you can do. We're ready to die if we're wrong and thrive if we're not. We're ready for whatever it means. We want your presence, and we want what only you can do through us, and we want your holy agenda, not our selfish ambition. Israel had been circling that hill country of Seir for such a long time, walking, moving, kind of living, but always around the same mountain. And when we hear that, many of us instinctively assume that the circling was the problem. The problem is that you're still circling. No, the circling is what's necessary. God does not rebuke them for being at the mountain. God does not tell them, you're not ready. You're still too blah-de-blah. He's not giving them a hard time. He's with them at the mountain. But that doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. He doesn't say, you people have wasted enough time. It's time to go and get stuff done. He doesn't say, you should have been farther along by now. You should be a better mountain circler by now. He doesn't begrudge that that's where they are and what they can do. He doesn't say, at last, now you've earned the next step. No, he didn't say any of that. He just says, you have circled this mountain long enough. It's not failure, it's timing. Please, we cannot move on unless you get this. It's not failure, it's timing. The fire you have been waiting in has forged you as a sharper instrument in the hands of a loving warrior king. It is not failure, it's timing. That's the genius of this passage for us. The mountain was not the scandal. The mountain was the season. And for some of you, you need to embrace the season you're in. And I know that that's hard, but the way that you do that is by knowing that God is not done. This isn't the season that ends you. It's the season that prepares you. And I know it's hard and I know it's long and I know you think you're ready, but you don't know what's next. So you don't know if you're ready. You don't know. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to know him here. And when you know him enough here, you get to know what he has for you next. Yes, Israel had resisted God earlier. Yes, fear had kept them from stepping into what was ahead. But do you see how the counterbalance of eagerness to move forward, whatever the cost, eventually tips the scale for whatever it's going to cost them being willing to do that? I'm so ready to go. I'm willing to suffer what it's going to require. Fear had kept them from stepping into what was ahead. But this moment in Deuteronomy is not mainly about God rubbing their noses in the old unbelief, the old fear, the old failures, the old struggles, the old problems, the old immaturity. This moment was finally about what is next. It's God declaring that the season in which he had been dealing with them had now done its work. Because while they circled, God was not absent. He was with them in the waiting. He was forging in them his instrument. He was going to take them where he was going to use them for more than they could ever hope or imagine, and what they previously weren't even prepared for. He was teaching dependence in the mountain that they had to know in the promised land. He was renewing perspective. He was wearing out their reflexes of slavery and fear. They were no longer victims and consumers. They were now warriors, ready for the fight. He was not shaping them into someone new. They were always his people, and he's not doing that for you either. He is not making you someone you weren't. He is growing you up as someone you are. He was preparing them for what's next, and that's what he is doing and will do with you. We are only transitioning, and some of the seasons of transitions are, so we had to transition to where we are now. There was something that got me here, and he is transitioning me to what is next. I don't mean that in the cultural way that the world does. I hate that the enemy steals our language. Just stay with me. Jeremiah, I don't know you, but I see your question. Come to the website at mikeqdaniel.com and come to the contact page and shoot me a message. Would be happy to speak with y'all online. Here's the deal. While he was preparing them, he was also preparing what he had for them next. The mountain was not wasted ground. It was preparing ground. It was a season of their preparation and where they were going being prepared. Not empty delay, but hidden development. Some of you think you're too old to be where you are. Some of you think you're too young for what's next. God is getting you ready where you go. Now is great. Thank you. Now is great. Thank you. I had to give up so much that I was ambitious for before I was ready for what God was actually going to do in my transitioning from corporate training to full-time ministry. Man, I was not ready for that. I wasn't ready financially. I wasn't ready egotistically. I wasn't ready in so many ways. And so he invited me out of where I was into a season of waiting and difficulty and humbling. And I eventually embraced it. He didn't humble me. I had to humble me. He's not humbling you. He's saying, humble yourself, and I will be able to use you and wield you as you become malleable in my hand. It is not empty delay. I know you don't know what he's doing in your heart always, and you know what he's done up till this moment, but we're walking through the world backwards. We know mostly where we've been. We know a little bit about where we are, and we know nothing about what's next. How about we trust the one who's leading us into what's next? You're not ready. And then when you are ready, we're dying to move forward, but we don't know what it's going to require. So it's not empty delay. It's hidden development for what you don't know you need for what's next. It's not divine neglect. It's fatherly wisdom. It's not more postponement. It's timing. I know you feel like he's having, y'all remember Karate Kid, the movie, the first movie? I don't know if it changed this, but yeah, the Karate Kid needed to learn how to fight. So Miyagi had him sanding the floor and painting the fence. And you aren't ready for what I need to teach you. You're not ready for what you're going to need to do in the battle. I'm getting you ready in ways you don't know or understand, but I'm getting you ready nonetheless. It's not mere postponement. It's perfect timing. And his timing was both protection and impact. We're so quick to call a season stuck. I'm stuck in this season of waiting. You're not stuck. You're circling. I call it stuck because I don't know what I'm being prepared for, and I don't know how I'm being prepared. When God is actually calling it preparation, I'm calling it stagnation. And only one of us is right. We call it delay because we cannot see the design. The pot doesn't know what it's being shaped to be, how it's going to be used, and by whom. Maybe it needs to be softened and hardened 10 more times so that it could be painted with all of the layers of luxurious elegance necessary to serve at the king's table. If that's the pottery of you, man, embrace it. Embrace that you think you're ready, but you're wrong. And you don't get to be God today. Or maybe you are ready and he's right. And he says, you've circled this mountain long enough. Heaven is rarely in a hurry, but it's never late. Heaven is never in a hurry, but it's never late. And here's the deeper ache of all of this. There's this weariness that comes not only from rebellion, throwing ourselves against the walls we never get to break through, so tired of the selfish ambition that where God wants something more, or maybe he lets you pursue the selfish ambition and it ends up hollow and empty until we're willing to live for something grander than our own selfish gain. You know, maybe that's what we're learning, but whatever it is, there's this weariness that comes from rebellion, but not only from rebellion, it also comes from repetition. I'm tired of circling. Maybe 6 times over Jericho should have been enough, but it took 7 before I was ready to really give the barbaric yelp. Maybe we're from walking faithfully in a season, we're learning that that's actually smaller. The mountain is so small to me now because I've circled it so many times. My heart is ready to show up for something bigger than the mountain I've been circling. It's just, I didn't know how ready I had to be. And God's not wrong about where you are and what's next, and what it's going to take. And yet the road, listen, I know you're still showing up. I know you're still listening. I know you're still trying to be faithful. And yet the road has become familiar enough to make you wonder whether or not this familiar trail you're on is your final escapade. I've been on this so long, maybe this is my lot. Maybe this is all there is. And maybe it's a mad dash to the temporal finish. But if you're feeling what I'm feeling, then maybe not. Some of us have lived so long in a season of caution and prayer and recovery and restraint, or hidden preparation, that we just don't know. So it feels like caution and prayer and recovery and restraint and closed doors, when it's really been development and sharpening and refining fire. And we just don't know it. And we've been feeling stuck for so long that we no longer know whether our hesitation is wisdom or it's just inertia. It's easier to stay here than to move ahead. We call it discernment because it sounds holier. But sometimes it's simply fear with better vocabulary. Oh, I'm waiting on God. Are you? Or are you just waiting for what you want? Are you waiting for what you want, or are you waiting on him? It's where many people live. Calling it something religiously provocative when really it's anxiety and hesitancy because I don't want what it's going to cost. I want what I want from it, which means I'm not ready. And people just live there. They're not stuck in their circumstances. They're stuck in their anxiety versus their own ambition. Positive flesh versus negative flesh. I know I shouldn't be afraid. I should go and get what I want. No and no. And people live in that false tension, friction of their faith. Not an open defiance, usually, as believers, sometimes, but not usually, just in quiet circling, waiting for God to make what I want easier instead of what's next more acceptable. I'm ready for whatever that is. I cannot stay here anymore. I'm ready for whatever that is, whatever it costs, whatever it takes. Even if it might end me, I will go faithfully to that end instead of circling this mountain one more stinking time. But I'm waiting on you, God. I'm not waiting for what I want from you anymore. I'm waiting on you. Boy, that's bold, isn't it? I am no longer waiting for what I want from you. I am now just waiting on you. Waiting on you. We'll go when you say I'm ready. And the danger is not only that we get tired. Tired has its own dangers, but it's also that we begin to settle into the waiting in the wrong way. We begin to confuse waiting with inward standing still. I'm just standing. I'm just content where I am. Are you? Or are you experiencing growing discontent so that he can release you into what's next? The kite in the hand as the wind is building until it cannot take it anymore. If it stays any longer in the hand, it's going to break, and then it waits even longer. And at the moment of breaking, he releases you and you fly. That's where you are when he tells you it's time to move. It might feel like stillness, but it might be building tension. We begin to call numbness peace. And we begin to call passivity trust until we just can't stand the lack of progress. But waiting on God was never meant to make us sleepy. It was meant to make us ready. Waiting on God does not mean getting used to the mountain. I don't want you acclimating to the slow left turn and IT band problems that you have always going left. I don't want you to acclimate to the circling of the mountain. That's not waiting on God. I'm just going around again. Waiting on him means staying awake, being ready for the word that says, now turn. Now turn. Waiting is not spiritual hibernation. It's divine watchfulness. It's a restful soul with shoes on. I got my shoes on, but I'm at rest. I'm ready to move. Are you there? Are you in that tension? A restful soul, a Selah moment, but my shoes are on and tied and ready to roll. Restful soul with its shoes on. The wind is building, and I'm not sure I can take waiting any longer, and then I wait a little longer until there's no way except forward. Waiting, anticipating, and then one day, the word comes. Not dramatic, not theatrical. Clarity. You have circled this mountain long enough. And only now do we feel the force of it. I thought I was ready, but this is the very second to turn. A lot of us are tired of the mountain. We're tired of the circling, the leaning left for 40 years, going round and round in a holding pattern, but it wasn't holding. It was lightening the load. You were burning fuel for the fast, hard entrance. He was turning your circling plane into a missile. Listen, fatigue is not your calling. Impatience is not direction. I can't wait anymore. Come on. We're not tapping our foot like we're on the wrong side of the bathroom door. All right. The itch for change is not the same thing as the leading of God. But when the moment comes, it's not maybe he's leading me. It's I'm finally released. And you get launched into what's next. The real question is not whether you are done with the mountain. You just be faithful where he's got you. The real question is whether God is done using the mountain. There's nothing else for me here, and he is moving me forward. There is no staying. There's only going. This is not a message about quitting hard things. When God is ready, he says so. He's not asking if you're tired yet of being here. He's really not. I'm sorry. He cares about you, but he knows a whole lot better than you. And when he is ready to move with you, panim, presence, and when you are ready for what he's doing, not what you're wanting from him, at that moment, at that friction point of your faith, from the tension to launch, really can't be born anymore. He triggers the release. He says so. So this is not a message about quitting hard things or avoiding boredom or passivity. This is permission. It's not permission to walk away from what God has entrusted to you. I'm not telling you to walk away from things that are part of the mundane. You get to be faithful in the little things and the mundane things and the recurring things. You get to be faithful at the mountain. It's not about walking away from anything God has entrusted to you. You are not being released from anything. You are being released to what only he can do for what only he can bring about. It's not an argument for being careless or flaky or religiously dramatic. I'm not telling you, God has told me that I'm going to do this and that and cause this and that. I'm not going to believe you. He has told me where I'm going, and he's told me some things that he's going to do to get me there, and he's told me something of the cost it's going to be to me, and I'm just waiting for him to hit the release. I can't believe it hasn't happened yet. I am waiting to be launched. We're not talking about irresponsibility. We're talking about availability. Holy ambition, not Mike's ambition. Israel was not being told to stop following God. Okay, you've been following me long enough around the mountain. Now go do your own thing. They were being told it was time to follow him differently. What a relief. That matters. Sometimes people hear turn north and they imagine abandoning stewardship. But that's not what's happening here at all. God is not calling his people to care less about his very calling. He's actually calling them to be freshly faithful in a new way. You've gained what is to be gained. You've been sharpened where you need to be sharpened. You've been renewed in the mind as you need to be renewed in the mind. Now it's time to start behaving like the truth is true in a whole new direction. Faithfulness, my friend, is not mere repetition, but it's also not irresponsibility. Faithfulness is responsiveness. I will receive what you have and I'll respond from who you are. Not what I want, not what I imagine, not what I wish. Faithfulness is not mere repetition, and it's not irresponsibility. Faithfulness is receptivity and responsiveness. He gets to be the director of the movie of your life today, my friends. You aren't going to rewrite the script in your improv. Sometimes the holiest thing that you can do is stick. Right now, so I made a pork roast last night, and I this morning getting ready for you guys, I went and got coffee and saw that I left dishes in the sink. I have some holy dishes to clean. Sometimes holy is dishwashing. I've been set apart to wash that dish. I have been consecrated to that dish, and that dish consecrated to me. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is to stick, is to stay, is to be faithful with what is in front of you. What's in front of you? Well, when God changes it, he'll change it. Sometimes the holiest thing that you can do is keep walking the same ground with God. And sometimes the holiest thing you can do is turn when he says turn. To fly when he says launch. The countdown might be longer than you'd like. And when the countdown is counting down, faithfulness is in the waiting. But it's also not giving up in the waiting. Faithfulness is in the waiting, but it's also not giving up in the waiting. I know the rocket has started before the countdown is done, and the pressure is building before the arms of the rocket are released. I know that you think you're ready to launch. I know many of you hearing this. Catherine Rusa Horton, I'm looking at you. I know you are so ready, or you think you are. But I also know he is faithful. And the pressure he's building up to launch you into what's next might be a little more pressure than you thought you needed. Faithfulness is being faithful in the waiting during the countdown, but it's also not giving up during the countdown. Don't pull the plug just because he hasn't launched you yet. It's growing up into greater availability. Anticipation of grace for what you do not know. And this fits the thread that we've been following all week. Monday, it really was, I won't go unless you go. I care about your presence more than the destination. Wow, we need to learn that. Because his presence is the promise. So if that was Monday, and yesterday, today's Wednesday when we're recording this, yesterday was Tuesday, and we talked about I won't live for my own little agenda. I'm not living for what I can get from you. I'm living for what you want to do through me. You are enough for me. Your agenda is what I want to see, and I don't get to know it or decide it or vote on it because we want to be available for the holy ambition of what only he can do. And sometimes he doesn't tell us, so we won't say no. But if his presence was the value, the greatest possible value on Monday, and yesterday it was about what you're going to do is better and different than what I want from you, so I'm giving up on my ambition for God and available for his ambition of me. Because I can trust him and he loves me, and he's good at being God. He's not just a good God, he's good at being God. If those two are true and you feel the pressure of that, I do just want you to go with me wherever we might go. Whatever it is, I want you here and I want you there, and I've got you in both, so let's do it. And then whatever you're going to do is not as important as me letting you do it. I'm just available. But I'm ready. That's called anticipation. Available but ready, that's anticipation. Yes, 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 yes. I don't know what it is, but I'm saying yes to it now. And you feel the rocket building up in its velocity before it's ever released. The potential energy is about to overcome the inertia, and you're about to be launched into orbit. You think you're ready. You think you can hit escape velocity, but you have no idea how far you've got to go. And so the pressure builds. I will not cling to an old season when he says turn. I will be faithful in the waiting, and I will be faithful in the launch. I will not give up, but I will be willing to wait. And then as I'm increasingly eager for him to say go, I no longer want to go where he's not going. And I no longer need to force what only he can produce. And I no longer need to get what I need from him. I need whatever he wants to do through me. And in the moment when I feel like I can't stand it any longer, he waits just another moment and asks me to be faithful in the waiting in the impossible second. And then he says, now you have circled this mountain long enough. You ready? Turn north. I bet all of the Israelites after 40 years went, they just turned. I bet they turned mid-sentence. Before the period hit the end of the phrase, I bet they were looking north. What I've been preparing in you, I am now ready to express through you. Wait, go! And they, wow, listen, that might mean a conversation that you've avoided, that you now are so eager for that you were completely avoiding before. It may mean a step that you postponed and what God has made you for, but you've been scared of. And now there is no fear that's going to hold you back. It may mean that there's a dream that God has planted on your heart long ago, and you've been circling and waiting and interested, but scared or not available or not prepared yet, or the time wasn't right, or there were obstacles in the way. And over and over and over, you're thinking, maybe now, no, not yet. Maybe now, no, not yet. And you've carried that torch for 40 years. I don't know. God planted it in your heart long ago, but he's not released you into it while you still needed to make it happen for yourself. Your ambition was the obstacle to his fulfillment. And now you're like, God, you want to do it, you do it or don't do it, but you go with me and you do what you want to do, and I'm ready. And if you have me circling, I'll circle till I die in this spot. But if you're ready, if you tell me that I've circled this mountain long enough, let's go. If you want to go, I'm going. And if you don't want to go, I'm staying. And it's going to be for whatever you want to do, not what I want from you. But man, if you're ready, I'm ready. God, if you're ready, I'm ready. I'm ready to be ready. I may not be ready, but I'm ready to be ready. Because there's a profound difference between you doing something for God and God bringing you into what he is doing. There's just a profound difference between you doing something for God and God bringing you in to what he is doing. And that redefines your next moment. You are just transitioning to the next transition. You're going to be launched into what's next. And even at the high velocity of all of the pressure that's launching you into what's next, you're going to be ready for that to stop before it does. You're just transitioning to the next transition. You might as well learn to wait on him now. And then when you're launched, you're going to wait on him for orbit. And then when you're in orbit, you're going to wait on him for whatever's next. You're just getting escape velocity built up before this launch, but you're going to transition to the next transition. The rocket that's waiting to be launched and building up pressure then gets launched and it's waiting to hit orbit. And then when it hits orbit, it's just circling in orbit until it's anticipating what's next. You are only transitioning to the next transition. And if you don't have a vision for what's now and the transition to what's next, then what's next is never going to satisfy you anyway. You better get comfy waiting, because it's all just transitioning to the next season of waiting. Because listen, there's such a profound difference between you just doing what you're supposed to do for God and God bringing you into what he's doing. It's all waiting. Sometimes it's just waiting faster. One is pressure. The other is participation. One is striving while you're wearing religious cologne. Look at all of my prayer. Look at how well I tied my tie. Look at how hip I am as the next gen pastor. Look, all of your religious folderol is not making the waiting easier, and it's not making the launch more powerful. But while one is striving in religious pomp and circumstance, religious cologne, the other is grace with its sleeves rolled up. One says, I must make this work. I'm going to be good at it. And the other says, he is turning me. He is taking me. He is launching me. He is with me. He is for me. He is working through me. One is getting busy with God, and one is striving to be busy for God. And I'm here to tell you, until you give up the latter, you're not ready for the former. My friends, this is not about abandoning stewardship. It's about walking with God into stewardship's next season. If you've stewarded this, you get to steward what's next. If you're just trying to escape this, then you're not ready for what's next. It's about walking with him into stewardship's next season. Some people are not trapped because they're rebellious. They're trapped because they're loyal to this season that God has already completed. I'm just sticking because I'm scared of what's next. Then you're not ready for what's next. We hug the mountain and call it faithfulness. Well, the Lord is gently saying, oh, yes, it's a lovely mountain, but you've circled this mountain long enough. You are comfy. How uncomfortable does he have to make me in order to launch me into what's next? It's a lovely mountain. Now turn. That's a lovely slavery you had in Egypt. I mean, if you're going to be a slave for 430 years, Egypt's a pretty good place. They got good stuff. They do a good barbecue. It's a lovely mountain you're circling, my friends. Be faithful in the waiting and be ready to turn. Are you ready? Is the intolerance of where you are building up to release you into what's next? And you're like, I know he's going to send me and I keep waiting for the word. Let me just tell you, that's the right place to be. I'm looking to him. He's got the starter pistol and his fingers on the trigger, and I'm waiting for him. And it's the longest beat, the longest second. I'm holding my breath in anticipation. Now turn. Let me ask you gently today. I know I've stepped on some toes. I know I have. I know that you're hurting. I know that you're ready. I know that you're eager. I know that you're tired. I know. But is there anything that you're waiting on Abba for? Something that you've prayed about, something that you've been carrying, something that you've been watching for, something that you want to be released to, something that's you've delayed or he's delayed, or you've started and stopped so many times that you're no longer sure whether to move or remain? Are you wondering? Are you at this place of going, God, I thought, but now was I wrong? Am I right? Is it left? Is it up? Is it down? You know, John the Baptist got thrown into prison and he thought, really? I thought I was doing the right thing. And he sent word to Jesus going, was I wrong? Are you the one? The very guy who said, behold the Lamb. Intentionally look and see what you're looking at. Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Then was thrown in prison and about to be beheaded. And he's just like, hey, did I miss it? I thought we were done. I thought we were out of here. I thought you were taking us home. I thought you were going to pay for the sin. I'm about to be killed, and I've not seen the fulfillment of the very ministry that I've been given. Was I right or not? And Jesus, so brilliant. Says, go back and tell John, you know what you know. You've seen what you've seen. And since you know what you've known and you've seen what you've seen, do the math, my friends. 1 + 1 = 2. Do the math. A = B and B = A. This is what it is. You know what it looks like and you know what you've seen. You know what you know. Don't doubt because it doesn't look like what you expected. Know what you know. Oh, what brilliance. I'm not going to be able to convince you. You already know. So if you're doubting in the midst of what you know, don't neglect what you know. And you might not know any longer if you're supposed to stay or move or circle or stop or leave or sprint or sleep. You may be going, I've been waiting forever. Does it mean that I was wrong? And it's at that moment that he's going, trust me in the waiting so you can trust me in the releasing. I know that you think it cannot take any longer than it's taken. Do you sense it's time to shift or time to stick? Both require the same trust. The very trust you had to build in order to stick is the trust that's going to take you where you want to go. It's the thrust that's going to get you over the hump, the escape velocity across the threshold into the orbit at a whole new level. Sometimes trust of God looks like staying where you are without resentment. Can you trust him here and be okay here and not be resentful here? If you're resenting where you are, that might not be trust. Okay, God, I'll stick. I'm okay with you. You're enough for me here. That's the only way you're going to be enough for what's next. If you're not enough for me now, why in the world am I thinking you're going to be enough for what's next? Sometimes trusting him looks like staying where you are without resentment. One more time around the mountain. Are you okay with me leading you around the mountain? One more time. Yes, Lord. I will stay till you release me. I think Paul felt this in prison when he's like, you know what? To die would be such great gain. I'm so ready. But for you, I would choose to stay. My heart is for you. But to go would be great gain. I would choose to go. Stay or go. It was an 80s rock ballad. Should I stay or should I go? Do, 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 do. Sometimes trusting him looks like staying without resentment. But friends, sometimes trusting looks like turning when he says turn without resistance. And it's the same faith that he's building up in the sticking that makes you launch smoothly without resistance in the going. Sometimes faith says, I will abide with you here. And sometimes it says, I will rise and go with you to the place you're going to show me, what only you can do in and through me. It's the same relationship to me, either way. But in both cases, trust means the exact same thing, being available to God for what he is saying and doing now. So perhaps today the prayer is simply this: Abba, if it's time to stick, I trust you here. If it's time to shift, I'll trust you there. I just don't want to keep circling yesterday. If you're calling me into today and tomorrow, you turn me. Because north is not merely away from the mountain. You'll know he didn't say, you've circled the mountain long enough, now turn from the mountain. He said north. North is what God has been settling in your heart. When you know north and it's in your heart and you have clarity, that's the invitation. It begins to walk around in your life instead of you walking around where you've been stuck. North is where prepared trust becomes expressed availability instead of anticipated availability. It's where the potential energy launches into unbounded kinetic energy. North is not where you finally become enough. North is where you discover that he has already been enough all along. If he's not enough for you to stick, he's not going to be enough for the release. And now he says, turn north. You've circled the mountain long enough, turn north. Now you get to walk with him into what's next. So wait on him, but wait awake. Let your soul rest where you are, but rest with shoes on. Stay if he says stay. Turn if and when he says turn. Stick when he says stick. Shift when he says shift. And it's not going to be an ambiguity. It's going to be north. But don't confuse circling with calling, or familiarity with faithfulness, or delay with desertion. He is not absent from the waiting. He is not absent from the turning. He is not absent from the going. And my friends, he's not going to be absent in the conquering. The God who kept you at the mountain is the God who knows when north is next. The mountain was real. The circling is real. I get it. Too real. The preparation was real, but so is the turning. And if he says it's time, then following him is not abandonment. It's obedience. It's relational. It's hand in hand, trusting for what he's going to do now and next. It is not irresponsibility. It's availability. It's not less faithful. It's freshly faithful. It's faithful in the new thing. You have circled this mountain long enough. Now turn north. Now, turn north. He didn't say rush ahead. Turn towards what's next. Depend on him here. Depend in the turn. Depend in the walk. And enjoy transitioning to the next transition of greater faith, of greater hope, of a realer truth by experience, that you might know him today and grow in grace today as you trust him today and overflow in love like crazy today. Maybe you're hearing him say today, you have circled this mountain long enough. Now, turn.